Lanus played for the Libertadores trophy, the final. Both have a high pedigree. Both probably feel they should be in the Libertadores, but they're going to make the most of it here with Gremio, a victory possibly away from winning the group here in match day 4. Glad you could join us from the glorious Arena do Gremio. So many great stadiums, state-of-the-art, recently built in Brazil, including this one, which wasn't even a World Cup venue. Big game. Max Bredos, Matt Lawrence. Sudamericana, it's been watered down a little bit. I think it's safe to say, not here tonight.
This is the pinnacle of Sudamericana action, isn't it? Cannot wait for the game tonight. We've got two teams. The home team, obviously, in Gremio. They've won their last 7 games, but on the flip side, Lanus, not so good at all. They've lost 6 of their last 9 games. Let's see whether the league form and the Copa Sudamericana form gets put to the test here, or whether Lanus can overcome that poor run they've had in the last few weeks.
Lanus would look for some revenge when they met. It was Gremio who denied them. Lanus are very familiar with finals. They were in one last year, this competition, losing to Defensa y Justicia. Lanus arrive, relatively short trip from Buenos Aires to Porto Alegre. And they'll be looking to get out of the funk. And the one thing we know, even though they're struggling, we've seen them in past finals, this is a very talented team with great young players.
Well, that's it. And the man in our picture, Pedro de la Vega, we know he's a prodigious young talent. He's not the only one. It's a real production line at Lanus. They've got a lovely blend of youth and experience as well. And you said it. This isn't a great team in terms of form right now. They lost 4 of their last 5 league games, which is why their league season is done and dusted. Didn't make it into the playoff stages in their little sort of MLS's back type tournament that they had in Argentina, only 13 league games. And then the top 4 from each zone meet in the playoffs. Lanus aren't one of those because they lost 4 of their last home games and only missed out by 1 point. Dreadful form in the run-in to getting into those group stages. It's
hard to imagine with the talent they have. As we look at the 11 for Gremio, we saw Diego Churin right there. Rare, although it's becoming less rare that these Argentines come here, hard-working center forward, and that's certainly why Thiago Nunes wants him in the 11. But there's some big names on this Gremio squad, and they're coming off an 8-0 victory over Aragua of Venezuela, which is putting a lot of fear. Speaking of great strikers, this man at 40 years of age, still going strong, Jose Sand, has scored 258 club goals in his career.
Yeah, and he's 41 in July, and he is old enough to be the father of Pedro de la Vega, the number 10 for Lanus.
Basically 6 of his teammates in the starting 11.
Exactly. Hopefully he's not the father of all 6 of those, otherwise he'd have been as prodigious in the bedroom as he is in front of goal, but we assume not. But he's a wonderful talent. I enjoy watching him. He's desperate to play every minute of every game, is Jose Sand. If you watch him being substituted, he goes absolutely mad. He's 41 in July. He wants to play every single minute. He understands this season could be his last. Probably won't be, but he knows he's desperate to play football, and it's great to see from such an old head.
It works well here because you have the young players to fill in some gaps, whereas Jose Sand is a little bit more limited with his running, his mobility, but the kids around him are happy to pick it up. And you said, is he the father? He's been the father of a lot of Argentine defenders through the years, as they like to say in Spanish, by scoring goals on just about everybody. This stadium is something to behold in that aerial shot. It was the other stadium, the home of Internacional, which was used for World Cup games. But you know, these incredible venues are now, as long as they get games in there, and obviously we're waiting for the supporters, but stadiums like this will be used with some frequency, and right now they are involved in the Gaucho regional tournament, and they'll be facing Internacional in the final. As Lanus, who also have a great tradition known as Granate, you know it's to them because of those colors. Even though they're wearing the whites, you know it's them when you see that granite top for Lanus, one of the really good, feel-good stories from Argentina. They played the final. First leg was here in 2017. And Gremio have been on a tear in the early games. Disappointed that they were knocked out of the Libertadores qualifying. It's very rare that a Brazilian team, certainly of this stature, but a Brazilian team in general, misses out on the Libertadores groups through qualifying. They usually slide right in, not the case for Gremio.
Which is why also as well, Max, we're so privileged to have this game as a Sudamericana game as well. We say the tournament's been watered down a little bit this season, but certainly not with this tie here. It's a monumental clash. It really is. So many talented players, young and old alike. Cannot wait for this game to get started, Max.
Here they come for La Gloria Eterna. Gremio and Lanus. Gremio and Santos, the two Brazilian teams that had to go through qualifying to make the group stages. Santos made it through. Certainly wasn't easy. Gremio played Ayacucho, beat them 8-2 on aggregate. Ayacucho out of Peru. In the next round, got a bad draw, really, against Independiente del Valle, who knocked them out 4-2, and the Ecuadorians are in the groups, hoping to make passage. Maybe they get reacquainted if Independiente del Valle finish third in their group and Gremio wins this. Only the group winners go through in this 2021 edition. It takes a little getting used to that, but I think we'll get some drama as we go here, especially in this case, if Lanus win.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Gremio want to win. You mentioned there in the final of the Gaucho, they've got the two legs of that coming up in over the next couple of weekends. If they win here, there's a big 6-point gap between them and Lanus, and they can then rest players looking at the Gaucho final. I think that is...
But worth mentioning that the Daniel Fedorchuk did remind everyone they have a minute of silence. Always nice for the referees to map out what's going to happen. 4-3-3, we're going to call it. Some good wide players. Bernabe, Aude, Aguirre, all young from the Lanus Academy. They are very rich in that department.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching Aude as a former defender myself, former fullback. Early on in my career, Aude's prodigiously talented. He really is. At 18 years of age, you don't normally associate someone that young with such good defensive attributes. He's a really good one-on-one defender. It normally takes a while to learn that, but he's already grasped it. Of course, he can get better and better. But Aude, the man there, number 13, not only defensive stalwart, but going forward too.
Observe the minute of silence in memory of all those that we've lost during this pandemic, and to appreciate those who continue to fight for all of us on the front lines.
Well, you couldn't ask for a better start, could you, if you were Lanus, getting within 20 seconds, getting a corner kick. And we know that De La Vega, we talk about the great young talent. He's certainly one of them. 20 years of age, De La Vega.
The Zorro of Argentina. Very short. Second effort doesn't come through from Brian Aguirre. Last defender is the Colombian Alexis Perez, only non-Argentine in the 11 today. This is going to go. This goes to the top, and they'll take a look at the officials, and it may not reflect very well, but I think you make a very fair point. It is a tough job, but this is the top tournaments. No harm done. Lanus could be upset, but Gremio, even if Lanus tied it, it's not enough in the big picture. Could have maybe extended for another week, but you'd have to rely on Aragua and La Equidad, and that's probably not a winning proposition for Lanus.
Yeah, and let's not forget that one decision didn't affect the outcome of the game. I think you may have said that, Max, but I just want to highlight that. Gremio very much deserved the win. It was a 2-1 lead anyway, even when that offside decision was proved wrong. Well, we think it will be proved wrong anyway. Maybe the linesman on the far side was right, but
yeah,
we
maybe
assume
there's
not.
some intel that we're not aware of. Otherwise, a pretty well officiated game, but it only takes one to change everything. And as it gets really quiet here in the Arena do Gremio, and the Lanus assistants and players continue to argue to whomever is around. Ferreira going to address the media.
Ferreirinha, mais uma vitória, 100% de aproveitamento. O Grêmio encontrou sua melhor versão para avançar nas próximas fases?
Como tu disse, 100% de aproveitamento, a vitória importante aqui dentro de casa, a gente já tínhamos ganhado lá fora. A equipe do Lanus é uma equipe muito qualificada, uma equipe muito forte, a gente sabia da importância da vitória para a classificação. A gente aos poucos vai entrosando, vai encontrando a melhor maneira de jogar, eu acredito que a gente está no caminho certo.
E agora conta como é que é ser o protagonista do jogo, 3 gols, 2 seus, mais uma assistência. Ferreira, isso também está na sua melhor versão, seu melhor momento?
Acredito que sim, né? Acho que o segredo é o trabalho, a confiança da comissão técnica, do grupo. Eu procuro sempre ajudar, independente do gol. Fico feliz também pela assistência, mas o importante é sempre a vitória.
Obrigada, parabéns.
Business as usual for Gremio. And for all intents and purposes, they can use these next 2 games to see who they can probably rely on for a long tournament, because the group stages will end at the end of this month. Gets very busy for a lot of international competitions, and they'll be back at the end of July, and Gremio's going to be in there in that round of 16.
Qual foi a dificuldade encontrada hoje? Dificuldade encontrada hoje?
No te entendí bien, pero bueno, más allá creo que fue un partido muy parejo, en donde los referees se equivocan en jugadas puntuales, tanto en el primer gol, en el empate era la ventaja nuestra para el 2-1, terminan haciéndolo ellos en una jugada que se equivoca en un offside en contra, y lo mismo al revés, en un offside en donde es el 3-1, se equivocan en jugadas clave, en donde perjudica el desarrollo del partido. Estoy muy enojado, creo que estos referees deben ser sancionados de la misma manera que cuando nosotros nos equivocamos, porque se equivocó groseramente, donde deja muchísimas dudas, y bueno, me parece que termina influyendo muchísimo en el desarrollo del partido.
Gracias.
De nada.